What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. In this one, it's team selection time ahead of Game Week 22. So Game Week 21 is finally over. It felt like it took a lifetime to complete. And obviously in the end, it was a very, very mini double game week. We've got another double game week in 22 to look ahead to. And I've definitely got a few transfers to make. I think I've taken hits in the last 3 weeks. Probably got to take more this week as well. So I'm going to talk about all of that. If you do enjoy it, give it a like and hit that subscribe button. Let's jump into it. So quickly looking back at Game Week 21, I got 78 points with a 4-point hit, so 74 total. That hit was bringing in Gray for Brownhill. Gray ended up only playing once, blanked in that game. Obviously, the second game got called off. It's frustrating, but there's not much we can do about it. That is FPL at the moment. We just got to accept it and move on to the next game week. So Gray was frustrating. It also meant that I spread a bit of money around my squad as well. So the fact that he then missed out made it even worse, but whatever. Dawson also came in, got the clean sheet in the second game, 7 points. I'm not really sure if I would have ever really gone for a different West Ham defender. I was worried about Sofao in case Johnson, basically I knew that Cresswell was close, so I was worried that he would come back in at left back and Johnson may or may not go back to right back, so I didn't know whether to go for him or Sofao. In the end I went for neither, and obviously if you went for Sofao you're probably pretty happy now when you got the assist last night as well, so that was nice. So I'm not massively annoyed at bringing in Dawson, but obviously I could have just had Alonso instead, who only got 1 point less but would have saved me a transfer and also meant I had less money spread around my squad. But it's done now. We just again have to accept it, move on and just see what happens. I don't regret making that transfer. And obviously the big one was captaincy. I went for Antonio instead of Bowen. Look, a lot of people went for Bowen and it wasn't obviously a bad decision whatsoever. Like, he's been in great form, he's had a really good season, his underlying numbers are decent. Obviously it was a fairly decent double game week as well, but I don't think that Antonio was like a massive mistake or anything like that. I'm not saying it was a 50-50 decision. Maybe it was slightly in Bowen's favour, and maybe, you know, my love for Antonio did take over a little bit, but Antonio's underlying stats for the season are also really good, even slightly better than Bowen's, although he's not a midfielder. Fair enough, so no extra point for the goal on clean sheet. So look, maybe it was a mistake. I don't think it really was a big one, but obviously I've lost 12 points in the process. I would have had a really big green arrow had I gone for Bowen. I've actually only got a very, very small red arrow. So the fact that the rest of my team did okay, I got Broja off the bench for Foden as well. Obviously, I knew that Foden probably wasn't going to play anyway. I actually only got I think it was less than 200 places, red arrow. So it hasn't really hurt me massively by not going for Bowen, but obviously it would have been much better to have a big green arrow. So overall, the team did okay. Jota obviously chipped in with the assists as well. So did Trent against Chelsea. It was okay, but now I've got a lot of flag players in Game Week 22 to try and figure out as well. So let's talk about Spitch and then we'll look ahead to Game Week 22. So happy to say that I have once again teamed up with Spitch, this time for Game Week 22. If you've not already checked Spitch out, it's a brand new fantasy football app, which you can download in the link in the description below, where you can bet on weekly tournaments for different competitions. So there's no season-long games and stuff like that, but you can still use your fantasy football knowledge and apply it to this as well. So I tend to stick to the Premier League, but you can do Championship and Bundesliga as well. We're going to go into Premier League today and just show you that. Now, there are free tournaments or free weekly tournaments, and there's also paid for ones as well. Because it's betting, you do need to be 18 or over, and you should gamble responsibly as well. There's links to begambleaware.org in the link in the description below. Now, the tournament that I'm going to enter today is the free one, bottom left. You can see it there. I'm going to click into that, and I've already kind of set up my team. And essentially, you can use, like I said, most of the knowledge you already have from playing FPL. There are a couple of differences, right? So one, you get points for stuff like tackles and interceptions and blocks and things like that, which you don't get in FPL. So that brings a few new players into the fore as well. But also, there's no double game weeks or anything like that. So it's only the first round of matches. So while Liverpool are okay for this week in FPL, they're not maybe as good as some of the double game week players. In Spitch, you're only worried about the first game. So I've already got 3 Liverpool defenders in my team, Robertson, Trent and Alisson Becker in goal as well. So I'm going to add in a few more players. So one player who's back training and should be playing against Norwich is Calvert-Lewin, so I definitely want him in. I also need another Liverpool player as well, so I'm actually going to put Jota in, who should be nailed while Mane and Salah are out as well. And lastly, a player, as long as their match goes ahead this week, is James Maddison as well for Leicester. So that's it. That's my team. That's all you need to do. You just click choose a captain. I'm going to pick Jota against Brentford, and I'm going to confirm that. And then obviously there's some flagged players. Hopefully they'll be fine. I'll change my team if any of these players are out anyway. And to confirm that. And that is it. That's all you need to do. If you want to check it out and you're 18 or over, link in the description below. Go and give it a go right now. Alright, so game week 22 time. Only one free transfer because, again, how the hell can you roll a transfer at the moment with everything going on? There's always something new to react to, which may even happen before the deadline tomorrow as well. As you can see, 3 of my 4 players on the bench are flagged. So Foster, Broja, and Livramento. Livramento is almost certainly not going to be back like this week for sure. Maybe not soon either. Broja might be. We'll have to wait and see. Trent's also flagged. Now, from what I've seen, he's back in training. Like Liverpool have confirmed that. But because Klopp hasn't like gone on record or been in a press conference and said that Trent's fit, FPL haven't unflagged him. I'm going to hope that he's fine for this week. Basically, I don't think I'm going to make any changes to my defence this week. De Gea's got the double game week, obviously, so he's staying. Same with Alonso. Cancelo is definitely a long-term hold. Chelsea at home is not necessarily an easy game, but I think it'll be tight. I think the last game was 1-0 to Man City, so there is a potential opportunity for a clean sheet there for Cancelo, and we know he can be attacking, although against a team like Chelsea, maybe not quite so much. So I don't really see me making any defender transfers. The only ones that I've kind of got my eye on right now is at some point Alonso will probably have to go because he's got Spurs, then 2 blanks. I'm not quite sure who I'd bring in, but Luca Dean has just signed for Villa, right? That's just been confirmed. And Villa have got some good fixtures. They've also been playing pretty well defensively. I just want to see whether he goes straight in and replaces Matt Targett or whether there might be a little bit of rotation there. I mean, you would assume that he's not gone from Everton to Villa to sit on the bench, right? Gerrard's probably given him some assurances that he's going to play, but I don't know exactly how it's going to pan out. But we'll see. If he goes straight into the team this week against, I think Villa have got Man United. If he goes straight into the team that week, then maybe next week, especially if Villa have a double, that is something that I want to consider. But right now, I think the defence is looking okay. Alonso might be moved on at some point. It could even be to a second Man City defender. But right now, I'm just waiting to see whether any more double game weeks get put in for kind of next week, which could be Villa versus Leeds, potentially. And so obviously I don't want to do too much this week that affects that. The only other double game week defenders this week I would consider is maybe Cucurella. I don't think he would be a bad purchase, but I don't think I want to take an additional 4-point hit off the other transfer, which I'll come on to in a minute, to then bench one of these 3. Obviously, I wouldn't bench Alonso. So, essentially, I'd be taking a 4-point hit to swap Dawson to Cucurella to then bench Cancelo or Trent. I'm just not convinced it's worth it. So, I'm probably going to stick with the defence how it looks. Midfield is entirely different. So we spoke about on the game week preview yesterday, teams that have got both Son and Salah, how they might want to just bench one. Some people maybe even just benching both of them, depending on how their squad's set up. I've only got one, which is Son. Obviously, he's not going to play, so he probably has to be sold for me because I've only got 0.1 million in the bank, and I need some money to kind of shift around some players. So he's probably going to be sold. I'll come back to that in a minute. I think the 3 players on the right, Jota, Bowen, and Gray, yes, they're not double game week players, but they've all got pretty good fixtures this week. So I'm not really going out of my way to use transfers to bench them because not only is it using 4 points, but it's probably bringing in a player I don't really want long term. Again, on the game, I forgot the video then. On the game week preview video I did yesterday, there's quite, like, if I was doing a free hit this week, which I haven't completely written off, but I don't think I'm going to use it. There is a bunch of midfielders that I would select, but a lot of them I just wouldn't want long term, which is why I don't really want to transfer any of them in. So the reason that I haven't completely written free hit off yet is I do think that a free hit team, despite it not looking the greatest, right? Of course, we all want fixtures where our double game week players are playing Norwich and Watford and Newcastle and Burnley, and they're all big hitters like Liverpool players and Man City, right? I get that it's not the case, but I still think a free hit team outscores what my team will end up looking like. I'm still undecided about whether that free hit will be worth more later on in the season, which is why I'm not looking to necessarily use it this week, right? So those 3 are looking good. Obviously, Foden is flagged. Again, I'm hoping, like Trent, that he'll be past fit by Pep Guardiola, but I might not play him anyway this week, but I do kind of want him for 23, 24, 25 when Man City's fixtures are good. So because I've got Son, he's obviously the priority to transfer out. I'm not looking to move on Foden. So I think I have to go for Maddison. I don't really see any other player that I would bring in this week. Like most of the midfielders that people are looking to go for, like if there was no double game week, like Jota, like Bowen, I already own. There's not really anyone else that I feel like I'm missing out on. Like I don't think I want to double up on Man City midfield anyway this week because it's Chelsea at home, and I don't think I want to do it anyway. So I think Son to Maddison just seems obvious. but it saves a lot of money. Now, Maddison's only 6.9 million at the moment. Obviously, Son's over 10 million. So that gives me money to upgrade a position up front as well. Maybe bring in another double game weeker. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Son to Maddison. It looks obvious. If anyone's got a better suggestion, let me know below. I don't have any money in the bank, so I couldn't take a punt on Fernandes or anything like that. I don't think I want to take a punt on Rashford or something like that either, because the main problem with Man United is I'm just not 100% convinced that... I do think... Ranić said that the 3 midfielders is needed. So I guess it probably is more likely that the wide players play wide now and not in a 4-2-2-2. I mean, obviously in a 4-2-2-2 you can play wide, but you get what I mean, right? So someone like Rashford might play both games, but I don't know if he definitely will. And I don't know if I want to take that risk when I could just go to Maddison, which also helps me out for future game weeks. Again, I'll come on to that in a minute. So adding in the forwards means we add in another flagged player. Ronaldo is also flagged. That brings me up to 4 in my first 11, 3 on the bench. Nearly half my squad is flagged at the moment. I'm sure some of you are probably in a worse position. Now, again, press conferences, etc. will probably take some of those flags off. And I'm hoping that Ranić says that Ronaldo is fine. It was only a minor injury that made him miss the FA Cup. Apparently, anyway, that's what Ranić said. So, fingers crossed he's okay for Villa away and Brentford away. It's maybe not the greatest double game week, but I do think he probably is one of the standout captains this week, if not the best one. Between him and Kane, probably, right, are the 2 best. So if he's not fit, then it leaves me in a really tricky position of whether I take a -8 or just a -4. So I'm going to do Son to Maddison. If Ronaldo wasn't fit, I could do Ronaldo to Kane for a -4 and just leave it at that. I could even possibly bench Ronaldo, right? That's how crazy this week is. But I'm hoping that he's fine. If he's fine, I'm going to captain him, okay? And Antonio's obviously got Leeds, which is a good single game week fixture. So once I do Son to Maddison, I've got a lot of money in the bank. I've got no money right now to do Broja up to King or Dennis, but I will do once I bring Maddison in. So then I've got to decide which one of the 2 to bring in. Now, if you said to me in recent weeks, okay, Dennis has often been through the middle and he has looked fairly attacking, I would definitely agree. But you know I'm a bit of a stats person at heart as well, so I do look at them. And over the season, Josh King... his attacking threat has been better than Dennis's, right? On a per 90-minute basis, most of them when they start, both of them when they start, they usually play 90 minutes. I do wonder how João Pedro might affect things a little bit. Something to consider. But King's open play goal threat is higher than Dennis's, right? Now you might say, well, recently Dennis has looked better. So I look back at when Dennis started scoring loads of points, which was around game week 12 when he started going on that really ridiculous consistent run, all the way up until game week 21. So I looked at this on Fantasy Football Scout. And still, King's open play goal threat has been higher. Bearing in mind at this point, he's also 0.3 million cheaper and he's on penalties as well. He's had more shots in the box, more big chances, 6 versus 2. And again, you don't even need all that, right? You can just throw it back to expected goals. And he's higher there as well. 2.41 non-penalty expected goals over that time frame. Dennis was 1.59. 1.59 from game week 12 to 21. And yet he got a ridiculous amount of returns. So... it's nothing against Dennis at all. Like I keep saying, it's nothing against Dennis owners, right? I'm sure they're really looking forward to him outscoring King again. But I'm making a bet that at some point the stats just kind of take over and King hopefully outscores him, even if it's only by a few points. Plus he costs less money, plus he's on penalties as well. So I'm probably going to go for King. So Son to Maddison and Broja to King, which will give me a team like this. With 5 double game week players. So De Gea, Alonso, Ronaldo, Maddison and King. And I would probably bench Foden instead of benching Gray. I wouldn't usually do that. I'd almost always play Foden over Gray. But the fact that Gray's playing Norwich and Foden's got Chelsea, I think that is the kind of week where I could probably bench him. And then I've got him for the rest of the weeks going forward. I could free hit instead of taking the hit, right? Instead of taking the -4. A lot of these players in my team I want to keep longer term anyway. But King's got Norwich in game week 23. Maddison's got Brighton. They just give me a few extra options in game week 23. And also the 3.2 million in the bank, if right now, Villa versus Leeds gets put into game week 23, then I've got enough money to do King or Antonio to Watkins. I've got enough money to do Gray to Rafinha. I've also got enough money to upgrade Livramento if I wanted to, or Dawson, or even maybe just make the Alonso transfer to bring in Luca Dean. And I'm not saying I would make all of those transfers, but this gives me options. And once Salah's back, I think the way I'm getting him is Ronaldo down to whoever, and then Salah back in for one of my midfielders. I don't know exactly who that would be right now. But there's different options. So, for example, Ronaldo could go to Calvert-Lewin, who's someone I would definitely look at. Like Calvert-Lewin, you could maybe even bring in this week, to be honest, against Norwich. But I'm obviously looking for double game week players. But Everton's long-term fixtures are pretty good. So Ronaldo down to Calvert-Lewin, then Maddison up to Salah could be a way to go about it, right? If Villa and Leeds don't double next week. So I feel like this not only gives me 2 extra double game week players for this week, it lets me bench Foden against Chelsea, which could be difficult. Not to say that he won't get anything, but it also gives me a bit of flexibility for next week. And flexibility right now is kind of key. But either way, I'm probably going to captain Ronaldo. Like I said, I mean, there is a scenario where he's not fit, and I captain King instead, and I just bench Ronaldo for Foden and don't take the extra hit for Kane. The only reason I'm a little bit wary of doing that is Kane runs straight into Chelsea, and yes, Ronaldo has West Ham in game week 23, but the fixtures afterwards are a little bit better, so I don't know about taking that hit. But that is what the team's probably looking like. Let me know what you think in the comments below. There we go. Give that one a like if you enjoyed it, and hit that subscribe button if you're new around here. If you haven't already checked out Spitch, there is a link in the description below. You need to be 18 or over. Make sure to check out the begambleaware.org links in the description below as well. That is me for game week 22. Hopefully, there could be a few more spanners thrown in the works on press conferences, because they might not just bring flags off, they might put other flags on when they say, well, he might not be quite fit enough, we're not sure, they're touch and go, all that usual rubbish the managers say. So let's wait and see what happens tomorrow. I'll obviously have a deadline stream on Friday as well, and I might even do a captaincy video this week, because I do think there's probably quite a few players that people are looking at picking from. Either way, I'm leaving that video there. I'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, and I'll see you again soon.